want us to think about this year is trying to have a different relationship with fear, especially in terms of rejection. Because sometimes we have a fear of rejection to the point that we stop moving forward. We stop moving in the direction of our dreams because the fear of being rejected we equate as failure. So we don't even risk. And I listened to this TED Talk by, his name is Jai Zhang. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but he calls it rejection therapy. I don't know if that's what the TED Talk is, but it's really funny and it's really popular. And he was born in China, and he talks about when he was a kid, he had this he had these really weird experiences where he was rejected, and it became something that really haunted him. And he thought, well, listen, I got to overcome this thing about my fear of rejection and what it means. So as an adult, he decided to do this thing that he calls rejection therapy, where every day for 100 days as a social experiment, he was going to do something to get himself rejected. Okay? So crazy. I love it. And it's like his list is so hilarious. But from something like just going up to a stranger, I think on day one he went up to a stranger and asked them for $100. And then another time he went and had a burger at this burger joint, and then he went up and he's like, can I have a free burger refill? And the guy was like, wait, what's a burger refill? And so he was constantly doing things just to get the no. Just to get the no, to see if he could survive the no. Okay, so the obvious thing that occurred very quickly is he realized that his fear of the rejection was worse than actually getting the rejection. It was actually not such a big deal, right? But the other thing that he discovered is that by staying engaged and not running away, he got more information than just the rejection. Now I'm going to come back to that for 1 second, but I want to mention this thing about fear. Because I don't want us to beat ourselves up about it, because, listen, it's in our DNA. We would not be here as a species if the fight-flight response in our limbic system was not always on. You wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have survived. So there's nothing wrong that your reaction to things often is fear. But what we want to do in life hacking or fear hacking or having tools to change our life is just to have a little bit more of a modicum of awareness of how can I change that? How can I just step in and realize, oh, I'm reacting from fear? So that's what he discovered in this whole experience, right? So I just always want us to not beat ourselves up for that thing that is a part of our primal wiring. It's essential. But I think we are so much more than just the limbic system, spiritually. So getting back to Jai, so what he discovered is the thing that was missing that he started to explore was, instead of stopping at the no, he stayed engaged by asking why. Blows my mind. So what ends up happening is he got information that disproved the way we tell stories about ourselves of why we get rejected. So it's interesting, as actors, we're in the business of rejected, and summarily you're going to get rejected all the time, even if you're the best in the room, even if you're getting great feedback, even if you're going in and you feel like you knocked it out of the park, right? We've talked about that 100-fold. And I think the business is so interesting because we really are in a business of rejection. And so I'm not asking for you to go up to a casting director after you get rejected and be like, why didn't I get the job? Although it's good to do that. Sometimes you can find out from an agent or a manager. Although sometimes the feedback you get may not be it may not be a conclusive sort of, I think, commentary on where you are in the work either sometimes, because they're just dealing with the information that they have. But what was interesting about staying engaged and getting the why is, generally when we get rejected, we have a story that says, I suck, I'm terrible, I'm talentless, it's not going to happen for me, why am I even doing this? And that's not the true story. So by asking why, he got more information. And it almost always disproved his first fear-based response. So in one story, he was saying how he just knocked on a stranger's door and he had a flower, and he said, can I plant this flower in your backyard? And the guy said no. Okay, he got his rejection. But then he said, well, why? Why can't I? And the guy said, well, I'd love to help you, but I really can't because I got a dog and the dog will dig up all the flowers. He said, but my neighbor Connie down the street, she loves flowers, so go knock on her door. So he did, and she said yes, and he planted the plant. So he also discovered that people were more willing to help him, help each other. That's so moving to me. Help each other than just flatly saying no. Isn't that great to know? So the reasons why you think you're getting rejected, and I want to just, a PS has happened to me today. My assistant was over and we were working on things, and I have this new book that's done that's like memoir. It's not really an acting book. I mean, it is acting related, but it's kind of feel weird. I'm too young to have a memoir, but whatever. They're short stories. Anyway, we got a rejection letter from the publisher. But thankfully, and of course my first reaction was, ugh. But then she said she gave her own reason why. And the reason why she was rejecting it had nothing to do with the content or what I was saying. She was actually it was a really great email. So it's just really always important to how do we take a moment and realize our first fear-based reaction to something isn't the full story.